So my name is Veronica. So we're starting this podcast today. We're going to be doing weekly um, shows, probably increments of 15 minutes, just so me and Sue are going to give you our stories. So this is just our journey. We're not doctors, we're not experts. We're just talking about this subject because I feel like it's very important because there's not a lot out there about uterine cancer.
Right.
And so a lot of women out there are not aware of what the symptoms are, or it can hit any age. And so we're just talking about this because we want to let you know and be aware that there is assistance out there, but you need to be aware of your own body. And so this is just our journey. And so we just want to get it out there. So I just want to put that out there, that disclaimer. We're not doctors, we're not experts. We're just talking about our personal journey.
Right. Okay, Veronica. And my name is Sue. And I went through this journey with Veronica, and we were diagnosed around the same time. So we kind of had the same things happening to us at the same time. So this is why it was great. We met on Facebook. It was just a wonder she put on a blog of, she did a page, right? Web page, was it you did? Was it a web page on Facebook, or just, I can't remember what it was. What was it?
It was, yeah. So basically what I did was I started a group because when I got diagnosed, I felt like, I wasn't getting any clarity. I wasn't getting no support. So what I said, what I did in order to better or make my situation better was to do a group. So I was like, well, what can I do to make it better for myself? Right. So
Right.
kind of interact with women that are going through the same thing. So that's what I did to help me out and other women that are going through the same thing, because there's not that support out there emotionally or talking about it, and that's what we need when you're going through something like this. So that's where I met Sue. We started talking, and that's where we connected. So yeah, that's a little backstory.
Right. And it was really a great thing. Yeah. It was really a good thing because I was nervous when I found out when this happened. I couldn't believe it. I knew there was something going on, but I didn't know what. And then when I saw Veronica on the Facebook, I said, I'm going to reach out to her. And we became like sisters in, what do you want to call, sisterhood, because I'm a lot older than her, but it was the same kind of things we were going through. So she would tell me about what was happening with her, and I would tell her what was happening with me. And we would kind of get our stories together and find out, gee, the doctor doesn't say this to me. What did they tell you? Do you know something different? So it kind of helped us along the way, because I don't know. I was scared. And I think Veronica was too, because there was nobody else to really talk to that was going through what we were going through. So it was a help. It was a really big help.
Yeah, so both of us decided to do this podcast, even if we can just help out one person out there, one woman that's going through
Right.
something like this, just to kind of know that you're not alone, that, there's a lot of women that are going through the same journey. And, it's really difficult because you're going through a change in your body. It's hard
Right.
to find out. So we're going to talk about 5 subjects today, and then next week we're going to do another episode. But if you feel like you have certain questions or any topics, just drop them down below on the actual messages, and then we'll get back to you and we'll answer some of your questions on future
Right.
episodes. But one of them is going to be, when you first found out, how did you feel? So when I first found out, it was kind of weird because I had called my doctor to see and say, oh, I haven't heard the results from a biopsy because I wasn't feeling good. And I had gotten my pap smear and it came back normal, but I knew something was happening because it wasn't like a regular period. It was like a lot. I was hemorrhaging. And I knew in my gut that something was wrong. So I told my doctor, my gynecologist, hey, you know what? Can you do a biopsy? So she did. She had found a polyp that came out that day. And she made a face like, what is this? And she goes, oh, it's probably nothing. It's been there for a while. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. So then I called a couple of days later because I've had a biopsy before. And so I said, why isn't she calling me? Why isn't she sending me a message? Oh, it's normal, whatever. So then the nurse calls me and says, hey, so she wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay. So then she calls me and then she says, oh, I'm sorry, but I have bad news. You have uterine cancer. At that moment, I was like, what did you just say? The C word, right? No one wants to hear that. No one wants to
No,
hear
nobody.
you
No,
have
it's scary.
cancer. Nobody.
No, nobody.
Nobody, right? Who's
No
going to
one.
think about that? Oh, you have cancer and blah, blah, blah. And mind you, I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was going to a doctor. I would tell them all the time, hey, this is not normal. I feel sick. What's wrong? Blah, blah. And yeah, so I ended up with cancer. The moment I found out, I was like, what is going on? What did you just tell me? I was crying so much for like 2 days. It was hard. It's something hard you go through. But it helps you to let it out. That's
You
what
have
helped
to.
me out. You
Yeah.
have to let it out because it's a shock.
It is a
It's
shock.
something
Yeah.
it's something that will always change your life no matter what you do. And
Right.
no one will ever understand unless you've gone through it. That's how I see
Right.
it. What about you, Sue? How did you feel?
Well, what happened to me was I had an unusual thing happen. And I'm a lot older than you. And I don't get a period anymore. It's been many years. And then all of a sudden I had this liquid come out of me like a gel. And I said, what is this? And I was scared. I went to the hospital, believe it or not. And they looked at me and said, oh, it's nothing, urinary tract infection. And they were saying it was urine. I'm going, no, it came out of my vagina. And the doctor said, no, it's nothing. But I said, no, this isn't normal. Something's wrong with me. It took me weeks before finally somebody listened to me. And my daughter ordered an ultrasound, vaginal ultrasound, and found out that I had a problem. And then I went and had a DNC, and they did a biopsy, and they called me at home on a Friday night, which I'll never forget. And she said, oh, Suzanne, I have to tell you something. You have cancer. I'm like, what? It was like, I'm coming into the office on Monday. Couldn't they tell me on Monday when I was there? So I was like a stark raving lunatic. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I was upset. And I hold a lot of stuff inside. I was just having like a panic attack. I couldn't take it was just crazy. So then I finally accepted the fact that this is what I have and I have to deal with it. So I had my family around me and I was upset, and everybody's telling me don't worry, and I love them all. But when it happens to you, it's different. I can't explain. Just the name cancer is like, it's like a death sentence. I felt like that's it. I'm going. I better get my affairs in order. I'm going to be gone. And you just can't help but feel that way. So I think once you get that news, it changes you completely. I'm different. I'm not the same I was. I'm not.
Yeah, that's true. It does change you forever
It
because
does.
it's always in the back. It's always in the back of your mind, like, oh, what this pain, or oh, what does this mean, or
Right.
like, what does this mean? Why am I feeling this way? Oh, is it something else, or But yeah, so that's what we went through. That's what when we first found out. Something else would be what helps you cope with the news? Well, what helped me to cope with the news was talking about it.
Right.
I'm the
Yeah.
type of person that talks about stuff. That helps me out because if you hold all that in, it's not really going to help you
No.
because you're not talking about how you feel, right? It's not
Right.
helping you feel getting your emotions out, you know? And who wants to talk about something like this? Nobody, right?
Nobody. No. Nobody. They look at you
but
like, oh,
but
you'll
but
be
it's
okay.
something good to go through because it could affect you at any age. You can be
Right,
young, you can be older, you can have gone through menopause already and be like, well, I'm not gonna get that, right? But it can happen at any stage of life, you know.
right.
And it's sad because it's happening to 20-year-olds, which I
Yes,
feel like it shouldn't, you know, because
right,
who would worry at that age? You're starting off life and if you want to have kids, now you're going to have to get a hysterectomy is one of the options, especially
right,
that's like the best chance for it not to come back. And then
right,
there's other things you have to deal with. What type of cancer is it? What stage is it? What and all that. Dealing with that type, going through either radiation or chemo. It just depends where you're at, and everybody's different with their body, right? We're not all the same.
right. Yes,
It's it's gonna hit us differently. We're all different people. We cope it with it differently. But what helped me out is to talk about it, start the group. um, we've met a lot of women on there
yes,
that are
we
going
have.
through the
Yes,
same journey, different ages, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, family members that are on there as well because they have to deal with the other side of it.
right.
What do I say to a person in my family that has it? What how can I help them out? What is it that is going to help them out to educate them as well? But being on both sides, it's kind of like, what do you tell somebody when they're going through something like that? What's going to make them feel better? All you can really do is listen because no matter what you say, it's not going to help. You got to go through the emotions to feel better and cope with
Yeah.
it. So
And to
that's what
talk
I
to
did.
somebody, yeah, somebody like you that is going through it, and then I'm going through it. We can listen to each other, and it makes you feel better. I'm not going through this alone. You understand what I'm saying, because you've been through it too, and you're going
Mm-hmm.
through it. So it does help tremendously. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of girls that are coming on the site now. More and more every day, I see more people going on there, and it's refreshing to know that okay, we have more people that we could help them. They could help us. We could help each other, and that's what we need. We need a sisterhood, and that's what's happened.
Yeah, so that's where the name came out, Avocado SisterHood, because I feel like avocados are green, and so that makes you happy when you see it, and so
It looks like yes, I
and
know what it looks like.
and sisterhood, so it's all of us, so that's why I named it that way. So, but
Yes.
that's how I coped with it. Another thing is what what were symptoms that I felt when it happened. So what I felt was, I just thought my body was going through the change, right? At my age.
Yeah.
But I just felt weird. It was too much. I was like, well, how can you go through the change and can't even walk? Like I would literally walk and I was in pain and it was bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even work like that because it was so bad. And every time I went to a doctor, oh, you're fine, don't worry, blah blah blah. You're okay. You're just going through change. I go, but how is it change this painful? It can't be. And I kept saying the same thing over and over again, and they just dismissed it.
Yeah, they do. They don't want to listen to you. That's the problem. They don't want to, and the doctors are good. Don't get me wrong. There's so many women that they feel like, okay, here's another one, and they're probably so tired of telling everyone that this is what it is. But we need to talk about it because this is something new for us. We don't know. I started getting very bad pains in my legs after the radiation. Tremendous pain. I have trouble walking sometimes, and everybody looks at me like, "What's the matter with you?" I go, "You don't get it. I can't walk like I used to. I got pains all the time in my
Yeah,
legs, And I asked the doctor about it, and they were like, "Oh, it'll go away. Don't worry about it." So, what are you supposed to do, really?
you
But
can.
yeah, yeah,
And another thing was once I got diagnosed and all that. Okay, now you got to deal with the surgery part, right? So
yeah, right.
the surgery part was like, oh, I'm gonna have everything taken out. I'm like, what is that about? Am I gonna feel better? I was like, okay, well, just do it. I did it. It's not easy. It's not an easy surgery. It is, for me it was painful, but I felt better after the surgery and healing, and then having to just do radiation, and then I did brachytherapy. It's a lot on your body. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
something easy, but if it's gonna help you stay in remission, I did it personally. That was my choice. And yes, have I had side effects? Yeah. Like Sue said, it's your legs hurt. You don't feel the same, but it's got to be your choice. The options they give you, um,
Right.
it has to be your choice. What
It
you
does.
decide is the best for you.
Right.
Whether it be you don't want to do it, or yes, you want to do what the options that doctors give you, protocols, but that's up to you. That's a decision you have to make. There's no one
Right.
else that can make that decision for you, because at the end of the day, it's your body.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's a hard decision to make when they throw it at you sometimes. You sit there and go, do I want to do this? My hysterectomy wasn't that bad. I was pretty much okay after it. So I felt like, okay, it wasn't that bad. And then when they said, well, you need to go with the brachytherapy, which is like the radiation, and that's a big thing. And I said, I don't know if I want to do it. And it took me, I'm not kidding you, 2 weeks to make a decision because I wasn't going to do it. I really wasn't going to do it. I said, no, I'm just going to take my chances. And then when I went to see my doctor, I said to him, what would you tell your mother? And he said, do it. That's what he said to me. He said, if you were my mother, I would tell you to do it. I said, all right, I'm going to do it. And that's what really pushed me to do it. I asked the doctor that question because I was scared. I'm like, what's going to happen now? I was scared, just that name of it and just the whole thing about it. It's scary. It's scary. But I
It
went through
is.
it
It
and I'm
is.
glad I
And
did
then,
it. Yeah.
and yeah, it is scary. And after you finish like the therapy, and the outcome of it is, I mean, you finish, you keep going into doctor's appointments, depending, right? Every 3 months, the
Right.
first, I think, couple of years or 2 years. And that's where every 3 months you're getting, checkups or CT scans or whatever the doctor wants you to do. Everybody, like I said, everybody's different. I get CT
Right.
scans every couple of months
Yeah.
to check me, and blood tests for
Yeah.
cancer
Yeah.
marker.
Right.
And, you know, it's just hard because it's like, even after everything, you're still going to be going through checkups for the rest of your life. You're still going to wonder,
Right.
what if this happens? What if it goes somewhere else? What if the pain I'm having is cancer again? What if,
Exactly. Yes.
and
Your mind starts
that,
playing tricks. Yeah.
yeah, it's not just the emotion, it's not just the
No,
physical part, that you
it's the
go through.
mental. Right. The mental part. Yes.
And that's the part that's why it's really important for me, and to for us to like start this podcast, because we want to let women know that it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to go through the emotions. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling emotionally, because you're not alone. There's a lot of women
Right.
going through this, and
Right.
you know you're not going to see anything online that's going to be like, oh, well, you're going to go through this, or you're going to go through this. But what about the emotional part? What about that human connection with somebody that's going through it? And it's not even about, oh, what are you feeling? Or it's not even about that, because unless
No.
you've gone through the same type of cancer, you understand the pain you're going through, you
Yes.
know?
It's true. Yes. It's, they could tell you, but unless you go through it, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different feeling from when we go into the machine and they look at us and everything. You're laying there going, oh my gosh, you're there just in a shock that I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm here, because you never expect this to happen to you. And then when it does, you have to deal with it. And it's not easy sometimes. But now that I have you, you have me, and there's other women, we could talk about it and say, okay, let's go to the next step. And there's a lot of people that are on that to Facebook that they have wonderful. They come back and they say, "I'm fine. I'm wonderful. Everything." It's such a good feeling to know that they're okay. We're so
Yeah,
happy when
yeah. We
it's
share our
great,
stories and we share
Yeah.
how we're feeling, and that helps us out. But me and Sue just wanted to introduce ourselves today, and we're gonna be doing, shows, episodes every week. If, like I said, if
Yes.
you guys want to have any questions for us, just drop them down on the messages, on the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, so we grow the channel so we can get it out, to women, and so they're educated.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
we're also going to link down below the website that we have, for the group. If you feel like you need, any type of support, go ahead and join there. And everything's confidential in there. So, but we just wanted to introduce ourselves and let you know that you're not alone,
Right.
and you will get through it. It's hard, but all you can really do is take it day by day. But do you have anything soon to
Well, I
say?
just want to thank everyone that's listening because we appreciate you listening to us, and we hope that we could help somebody. If we could help, like you said, one person, that's it. We're happy because we need this. We need a sisterhood of women getting together, talking about these problems, real, true problems. Not somebody saying it's you, but it's really happening to you. That's the difference. When it happens to you, that's the difference. So we'll
Yes.
see you next week then, I guess, right?
Yeah, next
Yeah.
week. Okay, well, it was a pleasure speaking to you guys, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.